These two characters are among the most hated people in the entire Street Fighter franchise, and I want to bring them back. These fighters sat out Street Fighter V, but I think in the next game, it's definitely time for them to return. And is Velociraptor going to beat me up and put me in the hospital for requesting the return of these characters? We'll see. All right, John, I want to talk about two of the most hated characters that need to come back for Street Fighter 6. Why the heck would I want hated characters to come back? Well, these two characters, they're special. They are special to me. They have a special meaning, and it's Yun and Yang. And yeah, I can hear everyone booing right now. I can hear it, but I will actually agree with Ono.
Let your
here.
boos be heard by psycho crushing the like button and subscribing so that you'll know the next time John comes up here with a less than satisfactory opinion, and you can yell at him in the comments.
Yes. Thumbs up for my crappy opinions on stuff. But anyway, Yun and Yang are actually considered good guys in the story, but they are considered villains in the community, especially Yun, because of just how vicious and how overpowered he has been in multiple Street Fighter games. It's not just Street Fighter 4, if you remember from that. It is Street Fighter 3 with the Guinea Jin, and he would hit the combos, and the audience, every time he would get a hit, they go, hey, and it maybe got a little bit annoying to some people. Maybe other people liked it, Lord knows. But our working theory here, courtesy of Dream King, is that Capcom is going to have themed DLC packs for each of the games that came before. So Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, they're going to be, themed DLC for Street Fighter 6, right? And you get a handful of characters, and hopefully you get to play through some single player content that harkens back to these games. Yun and Yang, they should be in the Street Fighter 3 pack. John, how does this make you feel as a Street Fighter 4 Goken player and having to deal with Yun all those years?
Well, yeah, the way that you can argue that the way the characters have been designed has just been sort of poor, but like at a certain point, certain characters are expected to be something. Like Akuma is expected to be something and rank at a certain level on the tier lists. And I think Yun, maybe more so than Yang, but we'll say Yun and Yang have reached that as well. But it's a particularly like unsatisfactory high point on the tier list. I don't like them. I don't want to see them.
Yes. In the problem, why these characters are such a problem is usually actually their dive kicks, which can break the game. The Street Fighter games are actually all known about, controlling space, holding ground, playing footsies and stuff. That is what you are known for in Street Fighter. And then here comes this dive kick right here at that angle that you just can't defend against and do much of anything about. And people are already saying, oh, hey, how about the parry system and Street Fighter 6, or how about, the drive impact, the focus attack and stuff. Well, focus actually didn't even work all that great against dive kicks in Street Fighter 4. You could focus, and then by the time that Yun was done doing his dive kick, he would recover and just be able to blow you right out of it. And we already know that parries actually have a longer recover time. And focus, didn't work before. So here's the answer to this. Like, if you're going to put Yun and Yang in here, and you have to put them in this game, in my opinion, because I want dive kicks back. It's I'm gonna hate this in the future. I want dive kicks.
Can I put my 2 weeks in, please?
Yeah, dive kicks are such an important part of Street Fighter. They are part of our legacy. You've got to bring them back, and you've got to bring them back with these characters. But you also need to give every character a proper answer to dive kicks, like an anti-dive kick button, a normal that like blows them up.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting way of dealing with it. Something else that popped into my mind, maybe if that were the case, if everyone had an anti-dive kick button, then that would change the calculus. But what I was thinking here is, like, you need to change dive kicks so they don't have the versatility that they've always had. But if you do that, then do you change the identity of the character? Have Yun and Yang been married to these goofy, really overpowered dive kicks, and to change them too much would make them no longer Yun and Yang's dive kicks, and therefore it's not Yun anymore, which is probably a good thing, but then people wouldn't be happy with it, yada yada, and you have your issue there.
Yeah, in a couple other things that they need to deal with as well is Yun's EX Lunge Punch was like +1 on block, for example, but in Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, right? And that would be like making Urian's EX Shoulder Tackle +1 instead of the -2 it is right now. And just to move that moves you forward and randomly wins against people is busted. And that's a mistake they actually repeated and then fixed in Street Fighter 5 like multiple times. They're like, oh, let's make this EX move, +1 and it's going to be fine.
Dude, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yun is built of moves that are naturally not good fits for the Street Fighter way of things, and so that that's why there's so many issues with so many of his things, is because gross.
Yeah, and then the way of dealing with that is make his frame data proper. But the reason, again, I just want to talk about this for a second, is that Street Fighter is a game all about controlling space. It really is. It is. If your character is really good at controlling space from up close, like for example Zangief, right? That is a character you want up in your face. Don't want it up in your face if you can avoid it. And someone like a Dalsum is like all the way across the screen. Right, and if you can stay on those spots on screen, you are doing an amazing job. And the characters who have the ability to take that space over too easily without fear and reproach are called Balrog. So, anyway, John, do you know how many names I get in trouble for saying now that I called Yun over the years when I was playing Street Fighter 4? Like, I just have to bleep out like half of this conversation. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Can't say it on YouTube.
Yeah, but I still want him back. I want the villain back. I want those crazy characters have a place in Street Fighter, like where someone comes up and the cursor goes over Yun, and you're immediately like, I hate that guy. I hate him. Like that's
yeah, but you're thinking I hate that person for being a bad person, for doing one of the things that makes you a bad person, which is picking Yun. Love you, exactly. Vicious. Hope you're watching. I do think so. I hear you. I don't agree. My hatred in my heart tells me that nope, just to disagree with this one, but still hit the like button on the video. But I think that Capcom is trying to give Street Fighter 6 its Yun and Yang sprinkling through Jamie, because I know that he's directly connected to them and represents them. He has a dive kick, he has like a command grab that's similar to theirs, and sort of like kind of exists in that space that previously was actually Yun Yang and Fei Long are sort of interconnected as far as like Hong Kong representatives and like a certain kind of fight style, although they obviously differ a bit, but like Rekkas and things like that. But anyways, I mean, they could. I think that they're already trying to check that box with Jamie, and hopefully they do that. I would much rather see Fei Long come back if we're talking about those characters than I would the twins. But man, you need, what are they? The dragons, the white and blue dragon or something like that? Twin dragons? Yeah. Stupid dragons, yeah. So maybe, how about Yang and not Yun? How about Yun has to watch from the side and Yang gets all the spotlight and he's not super busted? How about something like that?
That's funny you mentioned that, because Yang is mostly hated because he's actually the twin to Yun. Like if you put Yang in a vacuum, like I don't know if people actually would have the vitriol that they have for Yun, but it's quite interesting that basically he's just a twin of someone everyone hates. And actually I'd love to see Capcom run with that and actually have Yun, because this is 10-15 years later on after Third Strike. I'd love to see Yun turn evil to match his reaction in the FGC, and then Yang stays good. So Yang kind of mentors like Jamie and stuff, but maybe Yun is like this awful person or whatever, who just dive kicks everyone on the street or something like that. Something ridiculous, right? But yeah,
Yun can be the final non-playable boss. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, there's some fun things that they could do with this, but I am actually really looking forward to having these characters back. We do need the villains. We do need the evil characters back, and to some degree, at least I think so. John is definitely going to beat me up after the show, but that's okay.
All right, well, I got to go beat up my boss.